Hey.
Alright, so we're all synced.
Seems like it. Yeah, seems like it. We're good.
Okay. This is the fun part of doing this because it's like when you actually hit record, it's like, how do we start these?
Yeah, you're right. You see, we didn't think that part through now, did we?
Yeah, so anyways, character share.
Yeah, character share. Tell me about your, what's his name again?
Alright. So the story of Erevan Arel begins many years ago, around the height of the pandemic.
Oh, God, the flashbacks.
It was...
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was my COVID baby.
Shut up! I never want to hear that. No!
So anyways, like right before this time, I was still in college and I was picking up D&D for the first time and like really, getting into it, getting into the game and everything. And I was the forever DM. And yeah, I learned by, trial by fire. No one was going to be like, oh yeah, like if you're interested, I can teach you how to play D&D. It was, if you're going to play D&D, you're going to be the one to like lead this insanity. So I had been
Damn, wasn't like that for me, luckily.
Yeah, must be nice. Must be very nice.
No, it's not. The emotional damage I've received is my therapist has heard about this. That's all I can say.
Oh, I mean, if we're gonna talk about emotional damage, I mean, Erevan's story is fraught with
wait.
damage.
What have you done to your COVID baby?
I haven't done anything. So, Erevan's story really begins in this place called Kolbadir. It was this big dwarven city that was lodged deep within a mountain, and this was something that had taken place when he was still in this little Westmarch spin-off game.
Mm-hmm.
He had journeyed to Kolbadir because he was learning more about magic and was actually setting himself up as this sort of like traveling wizard merchant. He was just trying to like build a name for himself. He was also I'm trying to figure out like how to best kind of like word this. So even to the Arel family was typically like an elven family, and he was actually kind of like from this noble family where they had a lot of connection and lineage to magic, but not in the study up and become a wizard way, but in the, taking an oath with a divine creature and gaining magical powers through lineage, like a paladin, sorcerer, warlock kind of way.
Mm-hmm.
And Erevan had always kind of been different in that sense, where he didn't actually really get any of that stuff. So he was like the first real person in the family who did start to show magical promise, but had to actually just develop it by himself. And that was the journey he started to take into Kolbadir.
Okay.
And during his time there, he met some people that, just kind of like got banished from their homeland, just due to like, territory disputes. And then he went with them to check up and just try to like help mediate some of the conflict. And they realized that there was something bigger in place that was even more monstrous than they imagined. One of the characters, one of the characters' names was Shrock, and we basically went there to like help him reclaim his swamp.
Wait, just clicked. Hold on, wait.
Yes.
What's next? Did he have a talking donkey as a pet? God, please say no.
No, he didn't have. God. I don't think he had Donkey as a pet or like as a friend or whatever. But like, yeah, he made this character very directly inspired by Shrek. It was, he was playing an orc, just like a straight up orc.
Oh my god.
Lived in a swamp, named Shrock.
Oh my god.
And
was he Scottish?
He's like. No, he just kind of made his voice deeper and a little more rumbly, like, yeah, they took my swamp. That was my favorite swamp.
I fucking love Shrek. Oh my god.
And then, we all just went over to just try to, like, help Shrock get his swamp back. And when we went there, we noticed that there was something like very wrong with the forest really quickly. We noticed that there was this massive, just overarching tree like hanging around the swamp. He's like, yeah, that wasn't there before.
Oh, really?
And we noticed that, and we noticed that the vegetation was not just attacking people and killing them, but also just puppeteering their corpses.
Ew!
Yeah.
Oh, I hate and love that.
Yeah, that was a really, really rough time. Just in this West March, that was a really rough time just in the West March alone, where like everyone there almost lost their characters, and it was only by like DM Fiat that he's like, the reason this is so deadly is because it's meant for the canon, and you guys are just the West March.
Oh no.
He brought this in to test its mechanics for the canon game, like for his like big game, and he's like, oh, this is terrifying.
He almost TPK'd all of you.
Yeah, he did. And so this is kind of where we retconned the start to Erevan's arc and his joining the party, because after he narrowly survived this adventure, or this misadventure, he's like, I can't sit by knowing that this is going on, because like he was continually monitoring this stuff, and he started to see the territory of the forest getting closer and closer to like surrounding areas, and he's like, this is gonna overtake the continent if no one does anything about this. So he basically he left Colbadir to go find them and be like, guys, I don't know if you guys can, but like, someone needs to put a stop to this, and you guys seem like you're the best fit for it. And so,
damn.
And so we did eventually join. Erevan and myself, we joined the party, and we got to meet them at a very low point. Because, two of the players just left, and two of the characters just, left the game. One of their characters just straight up died. The other one was like, yeah, I was actually evil the entire time. And just left. So the party itself was just processing a lot. And it was like right after that, we just jumped into like this massive boss fight.
Oh, of course. Alright. There's no chance to take a break. Alright.
No, this was the kind of DM that, like, you got slammed with stuff, like, hard. It was, like, it wasn't immediately, but it was definitely, like, within the first, like, 2 or 3 sessions that we were introduced to, like, this big boss fight, because the whole real theme of this campaign was just fighting a lot of undead. There was this vampire cult to, like, try to make people immortal. It was honestly, it's very much inspired by, like, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure and, when they're getting like the masks to try to like be like the perfect being, and like that was kind of like the BBEG's goal, where he's like, I can finally stand in the sun and all that fun jazz.
You guys still on that, or
Are we still on it?
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, this campaign ended a while ago.
Oh. Did you win?
Yeah, I think we won.
Okay?
We're not dead. We didn't die.
Yeah,
so that's the big one.
I think that's what matters in the end.
I mean, most of us didn't die. I had to bring someone back from the dead, but I mean, most of us didn't die, so big win.
Oh, I mean, hooray! Yay! No one died.
So, no one lastingly died. People died, but I mean, some of them we could bring back. But so quickly after Erevan joins the party, trying to streamline this a little more. After Erevan joins the party, he's quickly swept up into the just zombie and undead fighting shenanigans of this group. And it reaches this point where now he's gotten a lot stronger, in-game, mechanically he's had more level ups, and he gets to finally, Gloom Hollow, as it's called.
Gloom Hollow.
Where he's finally come full circle, and he gets to like take down this just massive menace to just the environment and just everyone and everything around it. They win. We win, but it's one of those kind of wins where like you're just downed constantly. I think I was Yeah. I think my health yo-yoed like 4 or 5 times that fight, which was not fun.
Does it sound like it was?
Like, there were instances of, like, this encounter where, like, my character started, like, coughing up leaves.
Oh!
Where it's like he was slowly being corrupted, and, like, the other wizard in the party was also, like, slowly succumbing to this, and it was like we were on a very tight, time crunch.
Yeah, oh my god, the panic you guys must have been through.
Yes. Lots of panic.
Oh god.
Luckily, we managed to survive, but after this, Erevan was very shaken up. This is a kid...
I mean, no shit, I would be too.
This was a kid where...
Wait, hold on, he's a kid?
No, I mean, it's like, he was, like, early 20s. So, I mean, just a guy,
Okay. Oh, I was gonna... Oh my god.
This...
Uh-huh.
It's like, yeah, he's 6. It's like, no...
It's like, yeah, he's 5. No, the fuck he isn't. Nuh-uh. Nuh-uh.
So yeah, Erevan was someone who, previously led this rather cushy but also kind of developed life back home with his noble family. And, he started to, like, kind of harden himself a little bit more, like, just traveling by himself, learning the ways of the world, developing his magic. And I mean, even too, it's not to say that, his family and cousins and everything didn't, like, beat on him or pick on him from time to time, but, like, this is like where the mental anguish really starts to kick in, because it's like, all those other times, like, oh, he might have been in danger, but he was never, like, in danger of, like, dying or worse. This is the first real time where he's, like, face to face with, like, something even worse than just his own mortality. This is where it's like there's just bigger, worse things out there, and he realized, like, he was so improperly equipped to deal with that in comparison to everyone around him. And mechanically, this is where I bring up how everyone in the party either had really strong homebrew items or just DM fiat stuff or, like, multi-classing, where they were just very strong. Like, very ridiculously strong, and I just didn't feel like Erevan had the ability to just keep up. And I think it really started to show in that fight.
Oh, Erevan, that poor boy.
And it was shortly around this time... too, that... Actually, no, it wasn't shortly around this time. It was a little ways after this time where, like, Erevan just was really starting to, like, struggle. We went to a wizard college, and we were trying to investigate some more of this cult shenanigans there. It turned out all of the administrators were in the cult, and they tried to betray us and then kill us. And then the player... Yeah. So actually, yeah, so... I realized I got out of order. This whole wizard college, like, Erevan's... Like, the forest really started to, like, solidify Erevan's, like, just the trauma arc for him. Between a lot of the things that he'd just been dealing with the party and just trying to survive, this is where it got really bad for him. And the BBEG, who's actually kind of, like, surfaced to just kind of, like, mentally taunt or, like, talk to some of the players beforehand, he came in a little ways, like, in between arcs, and actually just tempted the party for power. In a way that he tempted other people. So, like, each BBEG that we faced was granted power from this guy. And my character is high intelligence, not high wisdom. So I actually took the BBEG up on his offer, and because my character is like, I just want to live. Like, if this guy is as bad as everyone says he is, then we're just gonna kill him and fix everything later. And then he's gonna make the mistake of lending me this power.
Why would you let him?
Part of it was because as a player, I felt like I was becoming slowly more like just an NPC in the game, and I wanted to just try to incorporate some other angles to Erevan as a whole. Like, I was really starting to become more obsessed with, like, just not... He was becoming more concerned with his own life. He was starting to, like, develop some aspects of, like, PTSD just from, like, this constant fighting in like this war on undead that he was experiencing. And he just wanted to survive.
Oh, my boy. My boy.
And
I'm not even a part of this, and I'm already sad and attached for. What the fuck? No.
And yeah, so it reached a part where the blessing or the curse, whatever you want to call it, made him unstable. There was this one part where he basically like transformed in this like ridiculous sort of like both light shadow transformation. And it was really cool, and I basically evaporated a man.
Oh. Oh.
And like that was probably the most damage I think I had done, and like anyone had done all campaign. I think it was like I had done like over 100 damage or something crazy. It was just like ridiculous amounts of damage, and like all this stuff was like homebrewed in too. But even the DM didn't realize like how strong it could potentially be, and eventually it did get nerfed a little bit and then kind of taken away, and we started kind of like leaning back into like the what's it called, the redemption arc.
Well, what if it isn't the consequences of my actions?
Yeah, the party was not very pleased.
That's basically what it fucking, yeah. Yes, they were upset that you were just trying to, survive. Yeah.
Yeah. And they're like, I don't see what the problem is, as they're like just nuking people for critical amounts of damage and just, firing like weaponized pot shots on people from like a mile away and then just like constantly rezzing me. So I don't see what the problem is. It's like,
my brother in Christ, you are the problem.
Maybe that is the problem. That's something too where it's like, I mean, I've done a lot of like builds on my channel, and I genuinely do like making really fun like multi-class kind of shenanigans, and that's not something I'm against, but I also am well aware that like there's a certain element of like power scaling that you need to keep in mind with everyone in the game. If you make a character that's too broken, like it really does upset the power balance with everything else. I've been in games with characters where we were like level 5 and they did like over 100 damage in a round with no homebrew, like strictly mechanics, and we were sitting there like, what do we even do to contribute? And it's like, yeah, like sometimes metagaming and multi-classing, it's a little too overpowered. Sometimes you gotta just rein it in just a bit. So luckily Erevan and everyone else survive. We managed to take down the large BBEG Vampire Lord, and we all come back victorious.
Hooray!
And so that is, for a lot of people, where they thought Erevan's story would end.
Oh no.
No, this part's actually good. This is probably one of my favorite things that I've done with Erevan. So I figured out how to make Erevan canon in every game. Ever.
Go on!
There's this lovely spell called Dream of the Blue Veil. And this was the last thing that Erevan did before the game ended. We're going around the table, and the DM's like, what do you want to do? What do you want to do? And a little ways before this game had started, while this game was going on, there were other games that were popping up that occasionally I would step into and, be a player in for a few weeks, just because, like, they were just shorter games. In one of these games, it was led by, this other DM, and it was about 4 sessions long, and the whole premise was that this being was draining magic from this city so that they could open a portal to different multiverses and conquer them. And the players in that game, and like the characters in that game, they saw all of these different worlds. They saw basically, and the DM described all of the campaigns that they knew were happening at that same time. They talked about and described characters from a campaign I was DMing. They brought up the campaign where Erevan was in, and this little mini-series campaign acted as the bridge that showcased that all of these games were potentially canon. Because they're showing like all of these different like hindsights into like these different worlds and everything, but there was still no real way to access any of them. Until Erevan happened.
Oh, what'd he do?
So me being the player and seeing how all of this stuff started to like, come together, I wanted to solidify this and be like, hey, I want to make this thing that my other DM had happen in their game canon in this game, because if that happens, you have two different games that are saying this is canon. And then everything else can follow suit potentially. So, part of the reason I wanted Erevan to be a wizard when I first started making is I'm very interested in mechanics and homebrew, and Erevan was this facet that allowed me to homebrew spells. And this one spell in particular was called Egg of Pandemonium, that we were just working on and testing for a while. And in its earlier stages, what it did is it would summon a creature from just somewhere, kind of like just regular conjuration stuff. And a lot of times this creature would be meant to serve as a distraction. It's sort of the, hey, this is your problem now. You guys, the enemy, have to deal with it, while we can potentially escape or use the confusion to our benefit.
Okay.
Later, what I got my
I like the sound of it.
It's a fun time. Unless you summon a crab, then it's just embarrassing.
Oh. Okay.
Because you can summon... I mean, granted, the random table, it differentiates between, who's casting it, but in the case of Erevan, you've got things where it's like you can fight, like, a Yeti, or... I think a Coatl was on there? I'm not sure. And then there was also just crab. Crab.
Okay. Crab.
Yeah, that came out at a boss fight one time, and that was very embarrassing.
I mean, I can imagine.
It's also really funny, but still. But then, so the whole thing with Egg of Pandemonium, what we slowly made canon later, is that all of the creatures that came through were tangible and real, and anything that they left behind from where they came from would stay.
Oh.
And then we started to get into the step of all of these creatures are coming from different dimensions and different multiverses. And that was the final piece of the puzzle that I needed for Dream of the Blue Veil. So Dream of the Blue Veil is this spell that was originally intended to allow players to explore other settings. Like, let's say, for instance, if you're from the, if you're in the Ravnica setting, you can use this to go to Eberron or Theros or like all of these other different settings and worlds. The only issue is, in order to pull this off, you needed an item attuned to a different multiverse, like from that specific setting.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because Erevan had been casting Egg of Pandemonium a number of times throughout the campaign and been actually just taking some of these items that these creatures left behind as notes for the spell, it reached this point where he had stockpiled enough items from different multiverses that he could just start to travel to different dimensions.
He's a dimension hopper. Oh, it's so cool.
Yep. It's something like a cross between Doctor Strange and Rick Sanchez. But yeah, basically he reached a point where he could just hop between dimensions. And now what he does is, in order to explore just a bunch of different kinds of dimensions, he will find other Erevans.
Okay.
He'll go and he'll hunt down other, not like hunt down as, take out, but like he'll look for other Erevans, because he figured if things can be so similar to one of his homeworlds, and the events can be so similar, it's likely that there are other Erevans that also have Eggs of Pandemonium that might be different than his. And if they're different, that means that they might have access to different worlds that he doesn't have access to. So you have all of these Erevans just running around trying to find and meet one another in order to grow their catalog of different dimensions that they can go to and explore.
Oh my god, I love that.
What's also really fun about this is it means that I can turn Erevan into just a reoccurring NPC. Like, he's been in, I think, like 2 or 3 different games since this campaign ended, and he's just always just doing something. He's usually now just kind of like a either like a potions or just, you know, a spell scroll salesman, or even just to someone like help guide the party, or even just like helping like that allied kingdom at that moment. But yeah, so now he's just around. There are good versions of Erevan that will likely help the party. There are also evil versions of Erevan where they're from realities where things really didn't go right. And yeah.
Oh, that poor boy. God, that's awful.
But so yeah, that is... Some of it's awful. Some of it I really like. The story of Erevan, it was filled with a lot of shenanigans. It was filled with a lot of homebrew, a lot of adventure.
Yeah.
And honestly, he was the first and also the longest character that I've played. So I was in that game for like well over a year.
Oh.
And like I have not been in a single campaign that has topped the length of that game yet.
I love him. I can't wait to draw him.